Hey guys, this is Caleb with DSLR Video Shooter, and today we're going to take a look at the Saramonic MixMic preamp and XLR audio adapter. So what is the MixMic? This is a preamp that goes on the top of your camera. Obviously, it comes with a microphone, 2 channels, so we have 2 XLR inputs, and it's kind of comparable to a lot of Sony's options when it comes to on top of camera XLR units, as well as the one that's from Panasonic. The purpose of this unit is to help your microphones and audio out. Every single camera has preamps built in, but they're often pretty bad. So when you stick a microphone and plug it directly into the camera's doing all of the work, taking that lower mic level and bringing it up. Often that's going to introduce noise because those preamps aren't that great. So this unit lets us have an external, better preamp. So as it raises the level of the microphone, it will have much cleaner sound, and it'll also give you a nice dial instead of, going into the menu system to make audio level changes. The other reason preamps are so awesome is most of them have XLR connectors for use with XLR microphones, but you can also adapt those, and they offer 48 volts, which a lot of cameras don't have unless the camera has built-in XLR. So here we have the MixMic unit. Comes with an XLR microphone, which I have hooked up with the included cable. Pretty straightforward. It's got a cold shoe mount that can go on top of the camera and a female cold shoe at the very top. So you could, in theory, take something like this guy and attach it to the top. This is a Rode audio receiver. And then you could hook that up, and looks like it fits just perfectly, which is really nice. And then we have a 3.5mm output cable that's built in. So I've got that hooked up to this G85, and I want to go over the controls. Let me turn it on with the top right switch. There's a green LED when power is good, and it'll turn red if the battery is getting low. This thing is powered off of a 9-volt battery, and while this all looks complicated, really straightforward, it's just settings for 2 different channels, and each channel has the same settings. So the first thing you need to do, even before you turn it on, which I've already done, is figure out what kind of microphone you're plugging into it. Is it a 48 volts required phantom power mic, or is it a microphone like a Rode video mic? You need to figure that out because you could damage your microphone with this and every device out there. So the microphone that comes with it needs phantom power. So on input 1, which is where I have the microphone plugged in, I have mic plus 48 volts. If you're using something like a video mic or a microphone that has a battery built in or does not require 48 volts, you'll want to set it to mic. There's also a line option. That's going to be, let's say you're at a wedding and there's a DJ with a soundboard and he's going to send you an output signal. Most likely that's going to be a line input. Or if you were going to plug, a computer's output into this thing, again, line is what you'd probably want. So we have that switch, line, mic, and mic plus 48 volts for each of the inputs. The next thing you need to pay attention to is how you want the signals to work. So we have a couple different options here. If you're just using a single microphone like I am right now, you're probably just going to want a stereo output. So over here on the top left, there's a switch that says record channel, and then you can choose channel 1 and 2 or channel 1. I have it set to channel 1 and 2, and what it's doing is taking this mono signal from this microphone, splitting it to left and right. So that's going to be really nice to edit in post. Now let's say you want to add a separate microphone. You probably don't want it to mix down to stereo because you want to control each of these microphones separately with their inputs, and you also want to be able to make changes in post independently. So I'm going to bring in a Rode video mic. I've got an XLR adapter. Before I plug it in, I'm going to make sure input 2 is set to mic because this microphone does not need 48 volts. I'm going to plug that in. Then I'm going to switch our record channel to channel 1. Now here you can see we're just getting the left channel, and if I get really loud, the right channel is going to show up as well. So at this point, both of those microphones are controlled separately. So now that we have our input type figured out and we have chosen what kind of channel controls we're going to be using, let's go over actually changing the microphone, levels here. So we have two switches, one for each channel, and that's the gain switch. We have 0, 10, and 20. For starters, I recommend going to 0 on the gain and then check your levels here. If your levels are a little low, go ahead and use these dials back here and make the adjustment. These are analog, so as much as possible, we want to use these dials to make adjustments. So right now I have it turned all the way up at 10 and things are looking pretty good. I might need a little boost, and essentially what you want to do is max out your dial before you start using the gain switches, because the more gain you add, the higher the hiss is going to be. So that's how you go about setting your audio levels on this unit. As you're shooting, if you need to make changes, these dials will make it really easy to do that. The last thing is the low cut filters, one for each channel. If your microphone, like this Rode Video mic in the background here, already has a low cut switch, use that one, and don't double low cut. You'll just want to do it on the microphone or just on the unit. Now that we know what we're dealing with, let's go over some audio tests to see how this Saramonic XLR microphone that comes with the preamp compares to some other more well-known microphones, and then we'll compare this preamp to one of, I consider, the best preamps that I've owned, and see how that compares. In this setup, I have the Saramonic microphone that comes with the MixMic on top of the camera with the actual MixMic unit, and we're going to be recording to see what it sounds like. It should sound pretty bad because it's pretty far away from me, probably 4.5 feet from me. I have my gain set to 10 and level 5 on that little dial, so we'll hear what this sounds like, but I'm not expecting it to be fantastic. In this setup, I have the Saramonic microphone, but I've moved it from on top of the camera to just above me out of frame. With this setup, it should sound much better because the microphone is obviously closer, and I was able to drop the gain from 10 down to 0. From there, I changed the dial to 6 for channel 1, and this is what it sounds like. Should sound much better because the microphone is closer, and we'll also see what it sounds like compared to a Rode microphone. So in this setup, we're listening to the Rode NTG4, which is just out of frame. It is a phantom powered microphone, and I'm running it via XLR over to the MixMic. Settings wise, we're at gain 20, and I have the dial turned all the way up to 10. So we're going to be able to hear what the Saramonic sounds like against this Rode microphone. This Rode microphone is kind of expensive when you compare it to the cost of this whole kit, which costs $300. This microphone is $370, so well over the whole cost of the kit. But it's going to be good to see what this, little red microphone, how it stands up to kind of a mid-level shotgun microphone. So again, this is the Rode NTG4 with the MixMic. This is what it sounds like. Should sound much better because the microphone is closer. So again, this is the Rode NTG4 with the MixMic. The last thing I want to do is compare the MixMic to the Juice Link preamp. This is probably the cleanest preamp that I own. Very, very nice, high quality. So I want to see what we're getting between the two. So my setup here is I have the Rode NTG4 going into the Juice Link, and from the Juice Link over to the camera. We'll be able to hear the differences, and I'll also play for you, not me speaking, just an empty room, and you can hear if there's any noise going on with these preamps. Do keep in mind I don't work in a perfectly quiet studio, so you might hear some, various plumbing and stuff like that, but it'll still give you an idea of how clean these preamps are. So final thoughts for this unit, the good and the bad. I really enjoy the form factor. I love how we have two XLR locking connections, the cold shoe at the top. Having it on top of the camera, I really don't like gear that attaches to the bottom because it rarely ever works well. You have to get the battery out. It's a real pain. So having it at the top is great. It works pretty well. We have lots of options. Things I don't like, it's not as clean as other preamps that I've worked with. And I prefer fully analog versus digital, so instead of having the gain switches, only really good analog preamps are nice. I also don't really care for these dials. They're really small, they're recessed, and they're very difficult to make changes if you need to make more than 1 or 2 step changes. That said, I think it's more designed to you set it up and then you don't want to accidentally bump your levels, and that makes sense. So there's kind of 2 camps there. So all in all, I think it's a great option. The microphone isn't that good, but it is a microphone. So if you're getting started, you have something at least to get working with. So recommendations are, if you need something like this, an all-in-one, it is a great unit. If you want something that's a little more high quality, Sound Devices makes some great stuff. Juice Link also makes some great stuff. So that has been the MixMic little preamp. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and if you have any questions, leave them below and I'll do my best to help you out. And as always, you can watch fresh videos here at DSLR Video Shooter. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.